By now, most of you have heard of this game already, a Dark Souls-like shooter. But the real question is this game good, great, or bad? I'm here to give you that answer. Let's dive into the afterthoughts. Warning, slight spoilers. You've been warned. Ash Remnant, brought to you by Gunfire Games. Not quite a AAA title, but a strong AA title. And here's why. So the story in this game is very typical. It's themed off of Dark Souls, I guess. You know, it's like a barren, sad world. Everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted. And then the way they tell it to you is just very typical. You know, it's like, hey, who are you? I'm here to do this. Oh, you're the chosen one. You have to walk here, you have to go there. So nothing new, nothing to write home about, but it keeps you moving. Unfortunately, though, scenarios like these are very common in the world of video games. Ash Remnant is no different. While the story isn't bad, but also not great, the storytelling is just there to push you from point A to point B. Just enough to ask yourself, wait a minute, what am I doing? What was the point of this again? But it's not like the studio didn't try. Throughout the world, you can find extra materials like notebooks, journals, that give you just a little bit more insight in the world of Ash Remnant. Even with the game's not so great storytelling, for some reason though, this game really pulls you in. This game has great immersion. Alright, so I'm just gonna straight up say, when it comes to graphics, I will say it's a little bit lacking, but I do want to say though, I think for some reason, I can't put my finger on it, I really feel like it complements the game though. For some reason, just the way the graphics are a little bit bland and the colors are a little bit dull, for some reason it just matches the narrative of the game. Like it really kind of somehow blends in very beautifully with the atmosphere. So the graphics are a little bit lacking, but it really works in this game. But what's not lacking is the many secrets hidden all over the game. We all know by now, to fully complete the game, you must have multiple playthroughs. So with each playthrough, it will completely change the map design and what bosses you encounter. Even the side quests will be completely different. But also, if you don't like what you got, you can at any time just re-roll the world and get a fresh new start. I do like this design because it offers a huge replayability, so I think that's pretty cool. And also, this design kind of forces you to explore and take notice to the subtle changes, and most of the time where there are subtle changes, it will lead to great rewards. Rewards like new weapons, traits, story options, and accessories, which these items will greatly affect your gameplay and how you go about the game. So let's get into the gameplay of Ash Remnant. So to be honest, fundamentally, there's nothing new here. It's a third-person viewpoint, a primary and secondary weapon. You got a melee attack, you can sprint and dodge. You can shoot or melee opponents, however, shooting is probably by far the best way to go. Also, there's only really two types of enemies in this game. You have the guy that gets all in your face and beeline straight to you and just melee attacks you to death. And then the second type is the long range attackers, the annoying distant warriors where they just pick you off from far. Other than that, most enemy encounters are pretty much the same. But there is one sad truth to all this though. You could literally just run from point A to point B and not even fight anybody if you really wanted to. So kind of fighting the trash mobs or the enemies, it's kind of like optional, which is kind of sad. But hey, sometimes that's how it is, right?
Okay, this is it.
Okay, so maybe that was a little bit unfair. But being super serious though, I did enjoy the boss encounters. The boss encounter was really great. I think that's probably where the game really shines, other than customization, which we'll talk about here in a sec. But man, like the boss encounters was pretty good. I really did like it. It reminded me of Destiny, and instead of like when you're fighting the trash mob, as you just saw that I just ran past all of them, when you fight the bosses, you really do need to focus, and you really do need to focus on learning how to dodge, because that dodge will save you. And it just feels really fluid when you figure out how to dodge, time your dodges perfectly, and also, you know, just the gunplay, everything just feels really good. Everything comes together when you're fighting the bosses. So the boss fights in this game are really fun. I really did enjoy them, and they do offer different strategies that you need to come up with to take them down. They're all not the same, they're kind of the same, but they all kind of have their own flavor to them, right? So that's really cool. But the way you take them down, it's kind of limited to what kind of options you have, like what weapons, what trait cards you have. So the customization is there, and we'll get into it right now, but it's kind of random. So let's talk about it. Alright, so let's start with character customization, or rather creation. Nothing special here, very simple. Just like throughout this whole game, the theme is it's a simple game, everything is very simple. But where it does get a little bit interesting, and not complicated but interesting, is the way you do your trait cards. You get trait cards by playing the game, killing bosses, doing quests and things like that, which is cool. It's a cool idea, but I feel like it kind of just slows you down a little bit, because you can't really customize your character the way you want to till you fully play the game, right? So it's not a bad thing, but luckily at the end of, if you complete the full campaign, you do get this item called like the Orb of Undoing, something like that, and you could reset all your traits. You keep your points and reset them, so that's cool. But honestly, I mean, I like it, but I don't know if it's like, you know, if that's like their niche. But then again, I enjoyed the game, so I can't really complain. I just thought maybe it'd be cool if I could just build my character from the get-go on how I wanted to versus kind of finding everything. But that's not really that big of a deal. Just my thoughts on that. So what is the bottom line here? What is the bottom line with Ash Remnant? Is it good, bad, or just a poor game? And to be honest, you know, for a price tag of $40, I really don't have a lot to complain about. I really definitely do want to see a sequel, a more fleshed out, more in-depth, more detailed, more complicated system, a more graphically intense game. So with that being said though, honestly, for me, I feel like if you don't play this game, you're really not missing anything. It's everything you already seen before, it's everything you already been exposed to. But that's not saying the game isn't fun. The game is pretty cool. I do like it. It is a fun game, but it is like a weekend game. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have nothing going on this weekend and you're just bored, then this will be a good game. You won't be disappointed. But if you're thinking this is the game, the one game I'll only buy this month, this year, or whatever, then this is not that kind of game. It's a good game, it's fun, but it's going to be short-lived. It's like a blockbuster movie, you know, you see it once, maybe twice, and then, you know, you just move on. There's more things, more better things out there. So that's pretty much the bottom line, guys. Good game, but longevity, yes, they kind of represent it as there's a lot of replay and random things that get generated within the game, but all that stuff gets very thin after a few playthroughs. So that's just my take. That's my afterthought. I did enjoy the game, but you're not missing nothing. Fun game though. Anyways, you guys take care and see you in the next one.
Perfect.